The cloudy waters of the Rio Grande have buried thousands of souls. The souls of migrants from across the world who drowned trying to cross the river that marks the border to enter the United States. Many of them end up hastily buried in mass graves or in the destitute section of Texan cemeteries. These anonymous deaths are referred to as John Doe by the administration. So many life stories, so many tragic destinies that will never be told. We retraced the steps of one of these souls that perished along the most dangerous border in the world. Mohammed Dahan. After crossing half of the planet, this Syrian man rebuilt his life in Brazil with his family, but wanted to try his luck in the US. He disappeared en route overnight, leaving behind his wife Razan in great distress. Alone with her children, the months went by and she had no news of him.
English ou Spanish?
Spanish. Eu senti falta dele em todos os detalhes da vida, em todas as coisas da vida. Ele estava assim, muito bom. Ele dá banho para eles, troca fralda, faz comida, passeio, escola, tudo. Ele divide tudo comigo. Ele sente falta dele. Não quero nem ver os fotos. Não consigo acreditar que ele morreu. Já cheguei e mostrou para mim o outro lado da travessia, lá do Texas. Falou para mim, vou atravessar 10 minutos e falou com você. Aqui que ele atravessou. E aqui o celular parou. Não ligou nunca mais.
Mohammed Dahan and Raza Suleiman's story begins in chaos. They met in the streets of Aleppo, in Syria, when the war began. Neither they nor their families took up arms. They were simply civilians, victims of the conflict.
A gente dorme com nossa roupa, tudo. A gente tem medo se alguém entrar em casa ou se cair em casa em cima da gente, a gente morre. E tanto de governo, tanto o Estado Islâmico mata o povo, pega as mulheres, faz com as mulheres na frente da família, tanto o governo, tanto eles. E quem ficou assim, nos pés, a gente mesmo, os povos. Para eles está tudo bem, eles estão protegidos, cada um protege o outro, que a gente ficou no meio do brincadeira. A gente que saiu. Aí o Muhammad falou, vou embora, não quero perder mais na minha vida aqui na Síria, vou embora.
The center of Aleppo, where the couple lived, is now a field of ruins. To this day, nothing has been rebuilt. Ahmed also lived here. He never left the region, but saw his neighbors, like Mohammed and Razan, leave.
2014 يعني كانت ممنهجة بالنسبة لأهل حلب، هي حملة تدمير، حملة قتل، حملة تهجير. 2014 بداية حملة البراميل، قصف دائم، تدمير دائم. فبالنسبة للناس ما بتذكروا 2014 غير إن كانوا عم ينقصفوا بشكل ممنهج وبشكل دائم وعم يهاجروا. لوين ما بيعرفوا، المهم يطلعوا. بتقول له لوين رايح؟ بقول لك ما بعرف، بس أنا ما بتأحسن أعيش. والأسواق تبعتها بتكون أماكن مكتظة، نساء، أطفال، فيها كل شيء، فكان يضرب بصير إصابات يعني أعداد كبيرة. مواقف سيارات مثل عند دوار جسر الحج 40-50 سيارة بركابها كلها احترقت. فدائما يضرب وين الناس بتتجمع أو بتعيش مشان ما يخلي حدا يعيش.
In 2014, the couple set off to Lebanon. They became refugees. The rest of their family also dispersed around the world. Mohammed's parents obtained political asylum in the US. But Razan and Mohammed's asylum was denied. Europe also denied them asylum. After months of wandering and fear, a country in the southern hemisphere granted them asylum. Brazil. Sao Paulo welcomed them with open arms. They adapted fast, mastering the language and social media.
Olá, amigos, boa noite. Tudo bem? Como vocês estão?
Olá, amigos, tudo bem? Como você está?
With Mohammed's help, Razan decided to open a Syrian restaurant. A true story of success. A successful integration. The family grew. In 2018, they were granted Brazilian nationality and passports. This success story of a family of Syrian refugees who made it made them the darlings of the local media.
Quando a gente chegou no Brasil, entrei no aeroporto, amiga. Aí você vai ver esse povo pessoalmente.
Esse povo, no caso, somos nós.
Vocês.
Adoro.
Não tem ninguém igual eu. Nenhuma moça é igual ele está vestindo. Nenhuma moça está cobrindo o cabelo. Nenhuma moça está colocando roupa assim. Como eu vou fazer? Aí eu comecei a brigar com ele.
The restaurant, with a few tables set up in a garage, is still open today.
Mais alguma coisa? Bebê, vocês pegam aqui e tem talheres lá e pratos e copos. O doce vocês pedem para mim.
Beleza.
Tá? Obrigado. Vou preparar lá. Obrigado.
Even in 2019, when the country elected Jair Bolsonaro, a far-right president, the solidarity of the Brazilian people towards Razan and her husband never wavered.
E eles foram muito assim. Eu gosto do Brasil, de verdade. Muito povo, muito colhido, sabe? Me ajudou muito tanto assim, sabe? Me deu muita força para levantar. Várias vezes eu desisti, eu falo que eu vou voltar. O que eu vou perder, posso perder. Vou voltar, não quero perder mais. Aí os brasileiros mostram, não, fica, a gente está do seu lado.
Obrigada.
Obrigada a vocês também. Aí aqui tem talheres e pratos e copos e bebida lá na geladeira.
Perfeito.
Tá bom?
Eu sou filha de português com alemão. O Brasil, ele não perdeu a essência dele de ser um país de imigrantes. Então, para a gente, o fato de o outro ser diferente é interessante para a gente. Ela vem com a cultura dela, com a comida dela, com o jeito dela, e a gente aprende mais. Isso é uma coisa que motiva o brasileiro.
Sem dúvida, a história dela é uma inspiração. A história dela, e no meio disso tem filho para cuidar e tal, e a coisa vai andando. A história dela é uma inspiração para muita gente, E ela saiu de um país em guerra, com outra cultura, outros hábitos, e passa por cima de tudo e vai indo. Isso é incrível, acho, é uma inspiração mesmo.
Obrigada. Bom trabalho para você. Obrigada. Tipo, eu abri mão de conversar com os homens. Antes não tinha isso na casa da minha família. Se você prestou atenção, as pessoas entram na nossa casa e a gente fica no outro quarto. Tipo, agora eu converso com os homens, mas dentro do meu trabalho. Tem que responder, tem que abrir a porta, tem que atender cliente, tem que falar com o cliente, servir cliente na garagem, servir os homens em casa, porque eu preciso trabalhar.
Razan is remarried now, but her new husband is often away. They have a daughter. Most of the time, she manages everything alone. The restaurant, the shopping, raising 4 children. Reminders of unpaid bills. Even if everything seems under control, Rosanne definitely has her hands full.
Tá bom, mas confio em você, fazer o pagamento de 16 horas. Eu tenho que buscar as crianças na escola, levar, tenho que sair no mercado, comprar as coisas e eu começo a fazer tipo os quibes, congelo as esfirras, congelo. Algumas coisas que eu faço, eu deixo já meio preparada no freezer. Senão, não vou conseguir atender tantos clientes e assim, rápido. E todas essas coisas, Mohamed que estava fazendo.
Mohamed left Brazil partly because of COVID-19. Sao Paulo was badly hit by the pandemic. Despite the couple's efforts, in 2022, the restaurant was struggling. That same year, his mother, a refugee in the US, became seriously ill. He needed to see her. He also wanted to find a job in America. He requested an official visa, which was denied. So he took the route of illegal immigrants, from Guatemala to Mexico. Rosanne followed his trip on the phone every day.
Essa foto ele mandou no México. Ele mandou para mim, ele falou, o país tá bom, tá bonito. Que tá tudo bem, fica em paz, não tem nada assim. E ele tá mandando as fotos só para me acalmar. Que não dá nada para me preocupar. Do dia, tava sexta-feira, 12:04, quando ele falou comigo a última vez, dia 4 de agosto. Ele falou para mim que tá tudo bem e que o lugar maravilhoso, que muito tranquilo, que não tem nada a ver com o México, o pedaço onde ele estava, que ele vai fazer uma vida nova para nós.
Mohamed never called again. For over 6 months, the family was alone, with no news of him. Rosanne thought he'd been arrested, that he was in prison somewhere. She would move heaven and earth to find him, but it was in vain. Mohamed Dahan disappeared here, near the bridge joining Mexico and the US. Efraim Gonzalez knows the area well. This Mexican journalist has often followed and filmed groups of migrants as they tried to cross the river.
Esta es una área frecuente de cruce para los migrantes. Esta zona, por ejemplo, es baja para cruzar caminando, pero al otro lado hay una corriente muy fuerte y hay pozos en el río donde pueden caer muchos migrantes, donde normalmente son arrastrados en esa área, especialmente si llevan niños. Me parece que la fecha en que él se ahogó fue agosto. Agosto son meses en los que el río va alto, son meses en los que se suelta agua en esa temporada para riego en zonas más bajas del río. Puede ser un poco mayor el caudal, pero una persona que no conoce aquí este río es muy riesgoso, porque en cualquier momento puede ser arrastrado por una corriente.
The Rio Grande continues to claim many victims every year. At certain periods, it claims hundreds. During the peak of the migration crisis in 2022, when American authorities counted up to 10,000 passages a day, there was an average of 1 death a day. The bodies are generally buried in total anonymity. Some Americans are working to identify the bodies of the disappeared. The work is done by volunteers and associations, members of the Sheriff's Department, and forensics.
Okay, so 2 pairs of gloves.
By using mobile morgues, they recover bodies before they are buried to find items that may identify them.
Okay, so this is just kind of what the form looks like after we fill it out. Any information that we saw on the body bag tag, we write here. We still need to take the stature because we'll probably have to send samples for DNA. If we see any tattoos, we'll mark it off on the body, but we haven't seen any right now. Yeah. Anybody have any questions right now? We are taking inventory of what they're wearing, which is very identifiable for family members to identify. We put it on an online database. We take photographs of the individuals so we can have documentation of the fingerprints, tattoos. Fingerprints are very important because it's extremely fast and it's cheap. DNA is very costly. It takes a lot of time and effort. So you have to find a family to then submit their family reference samples.
This type of operation enabled them to trace Mohammed Dahan. The key to the enigma of his disappearance is here, in the Anthropology Center labs in San Antonio, Texas.
That looks like a cloaca where the pus comes out.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
and then right there too?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Yeah.
Dr. Catherine Spradley is in charge of the university project, Operation Identification. She works with her students all year to make the recovered bodies of migrants speak. Her files have hundreds of names, including Mohammed.
And looking at the Border Patrol report, he was crossing the river and he drowned. He was overwhelmed by the river. And it would be the fire department that would have pulled him out and then taken him directly to the hospital. At the hospital, they provided life-saving measures. He was intubated, but he died very, very shortly after arriving at the hospital. Then he was eventually taken to the Maverick County Cemetery and buried. And we discovered there was no DNA samples being taken, there were no fingerprints being taken, and they were just tossing bodies. The funeral home was just tossing bodies into graves at the cemetery. Some of them would land upside down, some of them were buried on their heads, and there was no traceability. This is the grave where he was buried. And this is just the beginning photos of the exhumation process.
In November 2022, 6 months after it happened, the professor and her team of volunteers exhumed a group of 26 bodies, among which was Mohammed Dahan. They discovered he was carrying 7 official documents, allowing them to identify him immediately.
I've never seen anyone with so much documentation on them. So it really does make you question, why is this person buried with all of this documentation? There were 26 people, and about 13 of them had identification hypothesis, meaning there was maybe an ID card or something that clued them into, hey, this might be this person. How does that happen? I don't know. I ask myself that all the time. Why are we here exhuming these individuals when they had ID cards, when we could have just identified them before they were buried? We were told that the county's funeral home that they work with has room for 8 people in the cooler, but no more, and then they have to bury them. It's a systemic problem in the state of Texas. So I think at the highest level within our state, there's extreme disregard and a lack of care for these individuals. And that's another reason this really drives me to do what I do. So when we help facilitate an identification, we feel like we did our job. We feel good because this person who could have been lost forever is now identified, and the families will get to have their answer.
عامل لا قنينة.
Vai.
لا تقع. E meu contato estava com ele no papel, dentro da bolsa, meu nome, meu endereço. O celular dele estava sem senha para eles abrir o celular. Se acontece alguma coisa para ele, falei para ele, tira a senha, alguém liga o celular, que meu nome está escrito, minha esposa, my wife, está escrito em português e em inglês. Muito feio, muito feio. Eles sem responsáveis, sem dor, sem coração, sem nada, sem nada. Ele está tratando as pessoas igual um animal.
Bom dia. Tudo bem? Vou sair na foto.
Razan never really told her children what happened to their dad.
Não tenho coragem para falar. Ele está achando que vai aparecer. Eu sei a verdade. Não posso falar para eles.
Quando o pai dele estava vivo, a gente estava indo todos domingo de manhã, tomando café da manhã fora, dia de mim descanso, para mim não fazer café da manhã em casa. Aí eles me dão esse dia para mim seguir. Mesma coisa, eu levo eles para tomar café da manhã fora. Mesma coisa que está na minha família, eu trouxe no meu pai e na minha mãe, eu trouxe para meus filhos também. Também eles vão passar para filhos deles, que a gente tem que pelo menos reunir uma vez pela semana para comer todo mundo junto à família.
In her great misfortune, at least Razan now knows where her husband is buried. In a Muslim cemetery in Texas, thousands of kilometers away. Yet hundreds of other families will never know what happened to their loved ones.